So hello everybody. It's my honor to be here in the Cocoon conference, and after all these beautiful presentations, I would like to show another aspect of how to reconnect with nature with the use of our microbes. And I have prepared a presentation, a small presentation, it is up there. What is the symbiosis of the human superorganism? What does it mean? The Human Superorganism is a book published 3 years ago by Rodney Dietert, an immunotoxicologist, and he defined the coexistence of 15 trillion human cells and 500 trillion microbes that consists our body. And this superorganism lives in a perfect harmony in the nature, and all these microbes that are living inside us and on our skin surfaces are connecting us to the environment in many different ways. What does it mean? It means that the microbes are all these small living features that can adapt to the changes in nature. It means that if you eat something that contains some toxins, then the microbes in your gut will keep some very strong effect in order to hold them back. In this way, they are able to digest all these material that are inside, and they are also able to provide an immunity boosting effect, which is controlled by the presence of their presence. Since the immunity is developed by recognizing the outside world, by recognizing the microbes or the microbial metabolites that are around us. What we need to know as well is that for the main functions, the human genome contains 23,000 human genes. And these are for the main functions, but in order to have a healthy life, we need at least 100,000 genes, 100,000 proteins, in order to have a healthy life. And the rest, 80,000 genes, are from our microbes that are inhabiting our intestines and inhabiting our skin surfaces. We are we are outsourcing a lot of work to our microbes. I made a very well-known diagram from economics, the Pareto curve, which represents that the 20% of our enzymes are giving 80% of the nutritions we use for our living. But this 80% is constrained to only 20% of the diversity of the nutrients we need. But 80% of the energetic need is provided by them. But the human system can live for a very long time, as we know, since everybody in the civilized world has started to experience a shrinking in the adaptation level. It means that we are down to this 20% of enzymes, since we are living in a germ-free or germophobic environment. But these enzymes are, and these proteins are providing us all the necessary energy in order to digest the carbohydrates, the proteins, and the fats. And this leads to a malnutrition in the respect of the micronutrients, the vitamins, and the trace nutrients, and an overnutrition in the respect of the calorific value. So we are consuming a lot of food. We are always hungry because our body is craving for micronutrients and vitamins and trace nutrients, and we have it in a very small percentage in our food. since all the food we are consuming are somehow altered by chemicals, altered by our lifestyle, altered by the social and other habits we adopted in the last 50 years. When we are consuming an apple, then our body is not developed to do all the digestion tasks that needed to have the proper digestion of an apple, since every apple always contained all these bacteria that were very effective in degrading or digesting every part of the apple. We have the apparatus for the carbohydrates, for the proteins. We have the apparatus to digest quite a few organic acids or to adsorb them, and we can use them. But there are more than 200 or 400, it's an estimation, rough estimation, other bioactive materials in every fruit and every food stuff we are putting in our mouth. And the rest, which consists of 80% of the nutrients, are digested by the microbes that are living on the food we eat and inside our guts. And what we figured out is that these microbes are doing a lot of very beneficial jobs to us. Here is an image of how the bacteria are going to help us. And regarding the Cocoon water and the Hypoxia Hypothesis, I would like to reflect you a very special field. Since the bacteria are living everywhere, they are living in our oral cavities. And when we are eating something that contains pathogenic microbes or microbes that are going to harm our health, then our body is providing with the peroxidase system, our bodies will provide a hydrogen peroxide, active oxygen source. And these active oxygen source, the concentration is depending on the microbiome or the flora. The old name was the microflora in our mouth. So the microflora concentration and diversity will help us to produce more hydrogen peroxide in order to fight with the pathogenic bacteria entering our mouth. So this is the first layer of immunity, which is very effective, as Dr. Rashid Buttar has mentioned before, like a tube of fire that kills almost everything except for our cells, since we have this blanket. What is very important also that these bacteria are producing antibiotic materials. We call it bacteriocins or other things, since they would like to keep their presence on our surfaces. We are providing for them because we are their hosts, and we are providing them food stuff, every kind of secretion that our body produces, let it be sweat or tear or saliva or mucin in the gastric system, contains a lot of nutrients for the beneficial bacteria. And these bacteria will produce us antibacterial agents against the pathogens. They are also producing quorum sensing materials or molecules, which is a very important thing, since the bacteria take a very bad pathogen like the Salmonella species. If a Salmonella bacteria enters our system, then it starts to produce quorum sensing material and listens to its own environment. And when the quorum sensing material is in high concentration, it means for the Salmonella bacteria that there are many Salmonella bacteria are in the system, and they are strong enough to have a coordinated attack on our system. And then they can propagate, and then they can gain control over our systems. These quorum sensing materials are also produced by our symbiotic or eubiota bacteria, which is very important, since these quorum sensing materials are telling to the salmonellas and all the other pathogens that this place is fully crowded with other bacteria. You don't have any more space to come here. And this is a very good way how the microbiome controls or helps our immunity. Inside our guts, they are producing hormones and neurotransmitters like GABA, tryptophan metabolites, histamine. The tryptophan metabolites are the melatonin, serotonin, we all know, and also the dopamines are also secreted with the help of the bacteria in the gut lumen. They are producing polyamines, they are producing immune-active materials like serpin, lactoserpin. They are producing, everybody knows, vitamins like the vitamin K, vitamin B2, B12, B6. And what is very important, that the bacteria are producing short chain and medium chain and long chain fatty acids, which are direct food to our epithelial cells in our gut. And since all these contribution is needed for our perfect health. And how does this microorganism colony is colonizing our insides and outsides, and how do they affect? It depends on many different conditions. First of all, the mode of delivery, the traditional or the Caesar section, makes a big difference, since if somebody is delivered through the birth canal, then inoculated by the mother's microbiome, it means that the neonatant will have a very low diversity but very strong microbiome. If somebody is born by C-section, in the neonatal period, in the first year, their microbiome will be very diverse, and the diversity is not stable. So the changing is always depending on the conditions. So the digestion, say it in easy words, the crying baby for tummy pains are more often coming in Caesar section, C-section babies than normally naturally delivered babies. Also, the microbiome depends on the feeding. So the breastfeeding, the mother's milk is the best for the bacteria. As I have mentioned before, all the secretions are food for the beneficial bacteria, and the mother's milk is also a secretion in this respect. And this very specific oligosaccharide cocktail that the mothers are producing are helping the microbes to have a very strong and very stable, to maintain a very strong and very stable microbial ecosystem in the guts. Also, the drugs and antibiotics we use and consume in our life are greatly altering the microbiome concentration and diversity as well. And there are some species that are very susceptible for the antibiotics, and there are some species that are not really susceptible. They are called resistant ones. And since the antibiotic research is not so strong right now, we are afraid that since we use a lot of antibiotics, then the antibiotics will lose their efficiency in order to control the pathogens, since the pathogens can adapt to them and they can have resistant types. Also, the hygiene is very important, since we think that we should kill all the known bacteria in our surrounding. it means that if you kill everything, then how does the children's or our immune system will learn how to protect itself if it doesn't have any kind of exercise with the outside world? And the immune system learns from the outside world through the microbial activity. The agrochemicals are always tested for human or warm-blooded animals, and they are always tested for honeybees, but they have never been tested for microbiome. And what we know is that all the agrochemicals are interfering with the microbiota. The food additives are also there. The food additives are helping us to have preserved and long-lasting food, but it means that their digestive properties are lower than the natural ones, since the tomato in a normal way will go down in 2 days, and we are having very special types that can last for a fortnight on the shelves in the supermarket. And it means that we are using chemicals in order to keep it hygienic, free from the digestive bacteria. What is very important is the diet. All the food, everything we are putting in our mouth will affect the bacteria, since they are very fast to adapt to the different conditions. And it means that after 8 or 12 hours, the microbiome will be changed according to what we have consumed before. Lifestyle, with all their aspects like the sleep quality and quantity. It means when we start to sleep and how long we sleep, and do we sleep enough, and do we have the 2 types of low wave sleep or REM sleep in a healthy proportion. The superorganism also depends on the circadian rhythm, since the microbiome is also a subject of the day and night changes, shifts and changes. It means that if we are spending more time in an active phase, in a day phase, using electric lights, and we are elonging our daytime, then we are going to elongate the daytime activity for the bacteria as well. And we are going to produce an unhealthy balance, because we are going to have less time for the resting phase bacteria. And it means that the balance is changed. And also very important to talk about the stress management. We are tending to think that everything is stress around us. And it really depends on us how we let ourselves entangled with this situation, since the stress inputs are always doing a lot of changes in our hormonal systems, and the hormonal system will do restrictions in our digestive system, in the parasympathetic nervous system will shut down, will go down. So our digestive system will work less efficient. It means that the production of mucin, which is a nutrient for the beneficial bacteria and also a solvent for the nutrients we are taking in, the mucin production is lower under stress. The motility of the gut is absolutely lower in stress, in chronic stress. It means that the transit time of the food will be longer. The longer transit time will let a lot of time to the bacteria to propagate for example, in the small intestine, which will result in a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which is a known condition, and that can be closely matched to stress. And also the exercise is rather important in the life of a superorganism, since the microbiome has very good adaptation to our exercise system. It means if we have a regular, normal exercise, then we are going to have a very strong, sporty microbiome as well. And also the supplementation, what we take, is always have a very big influence on our microbiome. The silent microbiome crisis came here since we have a deficiency. What we can sum up, our life has adapted to the conditions. It's okay. Our life has adapted to the conditions, and since we are alive, then we have a harmony with our diet, way of life, circadian rhythm, sleeping and exercising habits. These are all making, since the adaptation masters are the microbes, they have adopted themselves to this lifestyle, what we are ruling now or living now. And that lifestyle will define what kind of microbes will be inside our cells. More virulent, resistant, less producing, and they are going to adapt to the fast foods, they are going to adapt to the sleep deprivation, the fasting feeding activities, and all these activities in our lives. What is very important, that this adaptation has led to very severe and chronic diseases. Everybody knows that the microbiome has been connected to many of the NCDs, the non-communicable diseases, the chronic diseases, and we think that we should do something for the microbes, and that was the key idea of the development of the Cocoon drops. And that was by observing what are the natural sources of the microbial ecosystem, since the microbes are everywhere and they adapt us. They are faster to change. You have to know that the Clostridia propagates or doubles itself in every 6 seconds. The yeasts are doubling themselves in every 20 seconds. The slower bifidobacteria in every half an hour. It means that they have 10,000 generations in 1 year. It means that they have 1,000 generations in 24 hours. It is a huge number, and the epigenetic rules are stating that after 3 generations, the adaptation to changes are complete. 3 generations respecting the human life means 75 years. 3 generations for Clostridia means 18 minutes, and they are adapting to the changes. And they are very fast and they are very helpful, but they are always in our environment. So what we have to do is we have to go to all these environment. We have to check, because the air contains a lot of spores, a lot of microbes. The water, the normal water, the human biology has developed 200,000 years ago with open water surfaces, which was containing a very low concentration but very high diversity of microbes. The food was inaltered by chemicals by then for 200,000 years, and only the last couple of 100 years we introduced chemicals into our food chain. And also the social interchange, what we have to talk about, since we are wearing masks and we are using extra hygiene precautions for pandemic reasons. But this deprivation of social interchange has got a big effect on our microbes as well. So how does the Cocoon drop works? Well, there are 3 main aspects of the Cocoon drops. because our body will recognize everything which comes from the nature that has microbes inside, microbial metabolites. Like everybody knows that if a microbe produces from sugar some kind of metabolite, then it has a certain smell. Since all these acids that are provided by the fruits, like the acidity of the apple or the grape, has no different aroma, it has only the sour taste. If it is lactic acid, for example, lactic acid is produced by bacteria, lactic fermenting bacteria, and that has a very pungent, very strong taste. And this is a key trigger for our digestive system. And our digestive system will prepare that since there is microbial metabolite, then microbes can be on the way, and they can be not just beneficial, but we have to be very careful with it. So the digestive system starts to produce all these antibacterial materials, and the acid production of the gut will, the stomach, sorry, will increase in order to keep us, on the safe side. And all these key microbial triggers are consisting, one part is the immunity and the other part is the fine-tuning of the digestive system. Since all the metabolites are representing different type of digestive processes. Different type of metabolites are there if there is a lot of sugar in the food we are eating, different metabolites there if a lot of proteins are converting by microbes, and different kind of bacterial metabolites are there if the food contains more fat. Also, the Cocoon drops contains living microbes and microbial ecosystem in a very small concentration, a couple of million microbes per milliliter. It means that it is not a probiotic product. It is a probiotic ecosystem that is in there in 1,000 times less concentration than a probiotic. But this one, if we drink it in the morning in our glass of water, will bypass, on an empty stomach, will bypass the stomach, and it can reach the colon in 15 minutes. It means that there is a chance for the microbes, for the ecosystem to reach the colon, and if they have their niche, their ecological place, they have food and habitat, then they will provide the fermentation work in the colon for us. How do we benefit from this? Because it is very interesting. If we start using the Cocoon drops, the diet will be changing by our taste. It means that we are going for complex foods. We are going to reject the over purified foodstuffs or the over done foodstuffs. Our digestion will be fine-tuned. It means that we are going to be able to have efficiency in the degradation of food, in the digestion of food, and also in the absorption. Since this happens, then sometimes it reduces our appetite. We are going to be very resistant to fasting periods because the bacteria in our colon are doing their fermentation works. And since they are doing fermentation, they provide, for example, necessary nutrients, for example, short-chain fatty acids. And these short-chain fatty acids will feed the epithelial cells. And the epithelial cells will produce a lot of hormones we know, like serotonin, which will keep us in a satisfaction side. And the beneficial change, the next one is the rebiosis. It means that all these bacteria by regular usage of Cocoon drops will help to re-establish the harmony, the symbiosis between the host and the microbiome. With the trials and some feedbacks, we have, since the product is very new, I have only 3 trials. An effect on 7-day fasting. What we figured out is that the motility and the secretion is sustained during the fast. It means that there is no need for enema or diuretic administration if somebody fasts, since consuming the Cocoon drops will keep the gut working. So it will clean everything out in a very good and very slow way, very natural way. The other test was done on autoimmune patients with different diets, different ages and different conditions, but so it is very difficult to draw conclusions. There is only one conclusion that comes out is the butyrate metabolism has started. It means that the colon has started fermenting short-chain fatty acids, and it is closely connected with the serotonin synthesis. And the other one is that the Clostridialis, the number of the Clostridia genus is always reduced. And if there was a Clostridium difficile, it always went down to 0. So it was a very, it was first an anecdotal issue that many patients has experienced, that they could regain their health after Clostridium difficile infection using the Cocoon drops, and now we have some evidence on this topic. And also we did food test, the immunoglobulin type, food sensitivity and food allergy tests, and the food sensitivities are reduced after 60 days of Cocoon drops usage by 20% in this way. I would like to call your attention for this book, The Human Superorganism by Rodney Dietert, and for practitioners it is a very useful and very important book. I guess many of you already know this book. This book contains all information very practically digested for practitioners. And the last thing is, the last slide is that we are having our health on a three-leg chairs. And this three-leg chair needs to be in balance, in harmony. If we put our microbiome on the sitting place, then if we extremely increase one of our legs, then the microbiome will get down on the other way. So we have to keep in mind that also the Cocoon drops are always effective if the exercise, the sleep, the diet, and the mind all together is working in a harmonic relation. So it is not a miracle drops, not a miracle thing that somebody eats fast food, doesn't sleep, has a lot of stress in their life, then the Cocoon drops won't help. Only timely relief for 1 month or something, but for the changes to have persistent effect, you need to alter the diet, alter the sleep, pick up new habits in order to get in shape. And the Cocoon drops will help in acquiring new habits in the diet, in the sleep, and the exercise. That's what we figured out. And thank you for the attention.